of the Doordarshi India Fund joining us this morning. Rajeev, hi, morning, and thanks for your time. Give us your sense on the comments that we're seeing from Trump, from Scott Bessent coming in late last evening about a deal on the US government once again seeing a renewal and that shutdown going away soon. Your thoughts on that?
I think it's very important that the shutdown ends because clearly, travelers are impacted. A lot of people are impacted with their monthly or weekly paychecks. And so I hope that the Democrats and the Republicans are able to find a way to work it out. I did see some of the comments from Trump and Bessent, but also on the Democrat side, we are starting to see Chuck Schumer put out what he thinks are some proposals that could work. So I do think, given the recent election in the US, where two of the Democrat governors won, I think there is some pressure on the US government to reach a deal, and I think hopefully that happens quickly.
Right. Rajeev, hi, this is Harsha. Give us a sense, what do you believe is the quantifiable impact, if at all? I know that you'll just have a ballpark kind of a direction. Quantifiable impact, US economy, India economy, and what pockets will be hurt the most? Give us a sense of that.
Because of the shutdown, you mean?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So the shutdown actually clearly is impacting much more of the sentiment and therefore the consumer spending in the US. And I think that, as we know, that the consumer is the biggest part of the US economy. And if the shutdown continues, that is where the sentiment starts weakening. We have seen some of the employment reports, which have not been as bad, but clearly the amount of people who are unemployed is going up. There are more job cuts that we keep seeing. And if the federal employees feel that they don't get the paycheck, clearly they will also pull back the spending. So I think all of that will reduce the energy in the consumer segment, which will impact the overall economy. I think it does not have much of an impact, frankly, from an Indian economy perspective, because given the tariffs, anyway, India is not exporting as much. On the goods side, definitely on the services side, that continues. And I don't think, frankly, the shutdown of the US federal government has had as much impact on the US economy, and therefore I would not expect as much or any impact on the Indian economy.
Right. And Rajeev, on that note, where do you think the Indian markets are headed? If you take a look at the India versus rest of the world data and the kind of mutedness we've seen, despite that, we've done much better compared to some of our Asian peers. The Nikkei is lower by 4%. Nasdaq, S&P, all of them have seen cuts on a weekly basis. Where do you think the markets are headed from here? Because we've seen a little bit of consolidation, at least in the last week, for some of the major global markets.
Absolutely. So I think Indian stock markets have been underperforming this whole year, and as compared to the many other global markets. And I think it's now time for the shoe to be on the other foot, which I think is good from an Indian stock market perspective, because I do think the sort of momentum that we have on the consumer spending, on the fiscal policy, on the monetary policy, everything is all coming together. And therefore, I feel that the Indian economy is in a good spot despite the tariffs that we have in India. So I do think that all of that is starting to play out gradually. And I think the recent GST cut has been very positively taken by in terms of how much of spending has happened. So I think there is clearly a momentum, and that momentum is driving the stock market, because ultimately stock markets are driven by earnings. And if the earnings improve, the stock markets will go up. And I hope that is what we will see over the next few quarters.
Rajeev, a couple of questions from my side. One is, you seem bullish on India. Where's the lowest hanging fruit at this point?
Yeah. So I think one of the things which has happened is clearly in the financials and the capital market space. Those are two things that are big themes in India, and they're all primarily domestic. So I think we are quite bullish on these two themes. Capital markets, clearly everybody has seen that set of IPOs that we are coming. Even before we started this call, you were talking about Lenskart IPO coming out and where it will trade. So I think the IPO pipeline is very, very strong. And that tells you that the capital market players will continue to do well. Now, of course, in the capital market players, there are the super 5 or 10 at the top, and then there's a big tail. So one has to figure out where the opportunity from a value lies. On the financial side, I think the financialization is a theme that India has been running for the last few, let's say, last decade since UPI has come. And I believe that that is a theme that will continue for the next few decades, because if anything, India did not have enough credit earlier. And now I think a lot of that is getting bridged. And as that gets bridged, it will drive the momentum in the economy, but will create a lot of opportunities for people like us.
And Rajeev, just trying to understand, India, to a large extent, the consensus seems to believe that India has lost out the AI rally, the global AI rally, if I can call it that. How much of this AI rally, in your opinion, is a bubble? How much of it can impact India if you could see a cool off in global markets, which we have seen indications of last week?
No, so I actually am a believer that AI is just another tool. I think people say that AI will make humans redundant. It might happen in the next 2 decades, right? But that is not what will happen imminent in the next few years. Therefore, I believe that people who utilize AI and utilize it for the day-to-day stuff is who will win. And that is why we feel that the AI models that we have seen from China have been very successful without spending too much. And I think increasingly we are seeing a lot of Indian companies leveraging AI and trying to make their operational costs lower, but come up with new products. And so even in my day-to-day work, I actually use a lot of AI, but it's more of a tool. And therefore, I don't feel that this narrative that India has lost on AI is necessarily the right narrative. From a practical point of view. And therefore, I feel as Indians adopt technology, and Indians have been very good at adopting technology, I think AI will be another tool in the toolkit for them. And therefore, I do not agree with the narrative that India has lost out. And I also feel that as Indians benefit from AI, I think there will be a significant advantage they will have vis-a-vis the world. So I am actually a believer that it will only help India and not hurt India, which is a very contrarian view.
Okay, Rajeev, appreciate that view and interesting take coming there. Thanks so much for your time today.